Level 1, the conscript. You are 17 years old and the Korean People's Army has been waiting for you your entire life. In North Korea, there is no question of whether you will serve. There is only the question of which unit takes you and what your songbun, your family's political loyalty rating inherited from your grandparents and your parents and their parents before them, determines about where you will spend the next 10 years of your life. If your family's record is clean, meaning 3 generations of unquestioned devotion to the supreme leader and the Juche ideology that holds this country together through a combination of genuine belief and comprehensive fear, you might be assigned to a unit close to Pyongyang. If the record has complications, if there is a whisper in the file about a relative who said the wrong thing, or listened to foreign radio, or was seen near the Chinese border for the wrong reasons, you go somewhere else. Somewhere the country puts the people it is less certain about. You are processed through an induction center where they take your civilian clothes and give you a uniform that does not fit correctly and boots that will not fit correctly for the first 2 months of wearing them. You are given a photograph of Kim Jong-un and a pamphlet about the Juche ideology and a set of political study materials that you will be tested on every week for the rest of your military service because in the Korean People's Army, ideological correctness is evaluated with the same rigor as physical fitness, and neither can be allowed to fall below standard. Your family stands at the gate when you leave. Your mother does not cry in public because public displays of grief about military service can be interpreted as insufficient enthusiasm for the state. She holds your face in her hands for 3 seconds. Your father nods. You walk through the gate and the gate closes. You will not see them again for years. Level 2, the private. The North Korean military does not train you the way armies in other countries train their soldiers. It does not need to. You have been prepared since primary school. The political education classes, the mandatory youth league meetings, the annual celebration of Kim Il sung's birthday and Kim Jong-un's birthday, and the founding of the Korean People's Army in April, and the specific sequence of national holidays that structure every North Korean year around the family that has ruled this country since 1948. You arrive at the barracks already knowing what is required of you. What you do not know, what nobody told you, is the hunger. The Korean People's Army feeds its soldiers on rations that defectors who made it across the border have consistently described as insufficient. Some weeks, the grain allocation covers what an active young man's body requires. Other weeks, it does not come close, and you learn, in the specific way that hunger teaches things, how to make the gap between what you have and what you need feel smaller by focusing on something else. You focus on the drills. You focus on the political study sessions. You focus on anything that is not the empty feeling that sits in your chest by Thursday when the week's ration has run thin. The commanding officer of your unit is a man whose rank was given to him partly for military competence and partly for the quality of his political reports. In the Korean People's Army, these two things are weighted almost equally. A soldier who shoots accurately but makes remarks about the ration size is a greater liability than a soldier who misses his targets but writes enthusiastic reports about the guidance of the supreme leader. You understand this very quickly. You adjust accordingly. Level 3, the sergeant. You have served 4 years. You have the rank, you have the stripes, you have the authority over the younger conscripts who arrived after you and who look at you the way you once looked at the men above you, trying to read the distance between where they are and where you are, and how much it actually cost. It cost more than it looked. You have been stationed near the DMZ, the most militarized border in the world, where 4 kilometers of demilitarized zone separates North Korea from South Korea, and where the tension that has existed since the armistice of 1953 has never actually resolved into peace. You walk your section of the perimeter in all weather. The watchtowers are cold in winter in a way that reaches into the bones. You watch the southern side through binoculars, and the southern side watches back, and both sides know that the distance between where they are and where you are is simultaneously 4 kilometers of actual ground and an entirely different world. You have been told about the South your entire life. You have been told it is a colony of American imperialism, where the people suffer under exploitation and long for reunification under the leadership of Pyongyang. You believe this the way you believe everything you have been told since childhood, which is with the specific quality of belief that exists when there is no available alternative and the cost of publicly doubting is something you have watched other people pay. Level 4. The Staff Officer. Word came 6 months ago that a selection of experienced Korean People's Army soldiers would be deployed to assist the Russian Federation in its military operations in Ukraine. The official announcement said this was an expression of the unbreakable solidarity between North Korea and Russia. The real arithmetic, the one that nobody states in official sessions, is that Kim Jong-un needs what Vladimir Putin can provide in terms of weapons technology and satellite assistance for the nuclear program. And in exchange, the Russian military gets North Korean soldiers who have been told that dying for a foreign war they do not fully understand is an honor. You are one of the soldiers selected. The journey is conducted with the specific secrecy that the North Korean state applies to everything it does not wish to be visible to international observers. You arrive in Russia and you are given Russian military equipment and assigned to a unit, and you are in Ukraine before you have fully processed that you are no longer on the Korean peninsula. The landscape is different from everything you have ever seen. The cold is familiar, but the sky is the wrong shape. The sounds are wrong. Everything is wrong. North Korean defectors who were former soldiers have described their colleagues deployed to Russia as cannon fodder, sent to frontline positions with limited understanding of the tactical situation, minimal communication with Russian forces due to the language barrier, and specific instructions that capture is not an acceptable outcome. You have received those instructions. You carry them the way you carry the photograph of Kim Jong-un in the breast pocket of your uniform, not because you chose to carry it, but because the world you grew up in made not carrying it unthinkable. You fight because you were trained to fight, and because not fighting has consequences that follow you home to your family's file. You fight, and you watch men you trained with die on ground that is not Korean and not theirs, and not anything a 17-year-old conscript from a province outside Pyongyang would have been able to find on a map 2 years ago. Level 5. The Political Officer. Not every promotion in the Korean People's Army is earned through military performance. Yours was earned through the quality of your political education reports, and through the fact that your songbun is clean, and through a decade of the specific combination of silence, compliance, and visible enthusiasm that the North Korean state rewards in the people it decides to trust a little further. You are a political officer now. It is your job to monitor the ideological health of the unit, to conduct the study sessions, to write the reports that go up the chain about the political reliability of the men under your observation. You know what a bad report means for a soldier and his family. You have written bad reports. You have written them with the same blank professionalism that the system trained you to apply to everything it requires of you. And you do not examine what you feel about writing them, because examining that feeling is the kind of internal activity that the Juche ideology does not encourage, and that the system you live inside was specifically designed to make dangerous. You know things now that you did not know when you were 17. You know the gap between what the Korean People's Army tells its soldiers about the outside world and what the outside world actually is. You know this from the Ukrainian landscape you saw with your own eyes, and from the Russian soldiers who spoke to you in broken English about things that created a specific and irreversible crack in the version of reality you were given at birth. You carry the crack the way you carry everything else. Quietly, without letting it show, because showing it is the one thing you cannot afford. Level 6. The DMZ. It is not a decision you made on a particular day. It is a decision that assembled itself slowly over 10 years of service and one deployment to a foreign war and one crack in one version of reality that kept getting wider, no matter how many political study sessions you attended or how many reports you filed. The night you choose is ordinary. The perimeter is familiar. You have walked it hundreds of times. You know exactly where the sensors are and where the gaps between them are and how long you have between one patrol and the next. You know these things because you were trained to know them, and that training is now being used for the purpose it was never supposed to serve. You cross. You move through the 4 kilometers of DMZ in the dark with the specific, focused silence of a man who spent 10 years learning to be invisible inside a country that required it. You emerge on the other side where South Korean soldiers find you, and you raise your hands. And the first thing you notice is not the different uniforms, or the different language, or the different weapons. The first thing you notice is that nobody is watching your face for what you are thinking. That is the moment you understand what you just crossed. Somewhere in a North Korean induction center tonight, a boy of 17 is being handed a uniform that does not fit, and a photograph and a political study pamphlet. His family is standing at the gate. His mother is holding his face in her hands. She will let go in 3 seconds. She will not cry in public. He does not know what the next 10 years will ask of him. He will find out. The cycle continues.